Hi, class. Welcome to week 6. This week, I'm going to start off with a little story. A few years ago, I had a colleague of mine that was afraid of meatballs. Yep, you heard that right. She was afraid of meatballs. Now, probably like you, I assumed that she simply meant she didn't like meatballs. Maybe she was grossed out by them, she just didn't enjoy them. And I followed up with her a few times to verify, are you sure you're really afraid of meatballs? And her answer was, yeah, I'm afraid of meatballs. Now, that's weird. I thought it was weird. And there were a few times where people would bring in their lunches and they would forget her fear of meatballs or they would have leftovers. And if she saw that meatball, she would get up and leave the room. Not because she was grossed out, but because she was afraid. Now, I came to realize that she was genuine and sincere in her belief and her fear of meatballs. And I imagine if you think about your own life or some of your friends that you have, you may think of somebody that has some weird, unusual fear. Psychologists would say that that fear has been linked because something in your past or your friend's past linked or associated that fear feeling and emotion with whatever the object or concept is that's being that the person's afraid of. And in psychology, there's a theory called behaviorism, which looks at how our behavior is influenced and shaped by factors that basically can control it. Now, before we get started in this, I will say that behaviorism is quite controversial. While the theory itself pretty clearly is effective and works as a tool to control behavior. When you learn about classical and operant conditioning this week, you're going to realize that these have really immediate and powerful impacts on the classroom. They're great ways to control behavior, and they're also ways to encourage students to be successful in your class. With that said, the reason that behaviorism is so controversial is that some of its biggest thinkers, Pavlov and B.F. Skinner, are figures that they said some things that others disagreed with. For example, when you look at a guy like B.F. Skinner, he really believed that learning was solely rooted in action. And so anything going on in your mind didn't really exist. And so many of us that are Christian or that believe in that there's more to learning than simply a result of action, struggled with his ideas. And in fact, I imagine if you did a little research on it, you would see that there are quite a few Christian writers that take profound issue with B.F. Skinner. With that said, though, his theory is really powerful and important as a tool to control behavior. And it works. As you're going to learn about classical conditioning, there's always the story of Pavlov's dog, where Pavlov would have a dog that he'd ring a bell. And of course, the bell doesn't elicit anything from his dog, but he puts down food, which causes the dog to salivate. And over time, what he realized is if he put the food down and would ring the bell and the dog would come running and eat the food, and he did that again and again and again, he could eventually remove the food and simply ring the bell and the dog would salivate like food was present. Therefore, he'd condition the dog. Well, humans work the same way. And so this week, you're going to be taking a look at these theories, and I'd ask you to consider what impact it has on the classroom. Also, as you're looking forward to our final paper that's going to be due in week 8, there's a lot of possible topics that are going to be embedded in the concept of behaviorism. And so if you find this topic interesting, it might be something you want to explore a little bit more. As always, let me know if you have questions, and I look forward to engaging with you guys online.